Hello, heathens. Welcome to the 8th episode of Girls Gone Godless, your weekly altar call for heresy and hot takes. I'm Aaliyah.
I'm Christina.
And I'm Noe.
On today's episode, we'll be interviewing fellow heathen, ex-pastor, and anti-theist educator John Tellia, who you can find on TikTok as the Godless Guide. So it is a godless crossover episode today, and also our first male guest to grace our Godless Girly podcast. Welcome. Thank
I'm
you for
very
joining
excited to
us.
be here.
We can't wait to hear more of your story.
Yeah, I'm excited, very excited to be here today.
Yay. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Do you want to start with just telling us a bit of basics about your religious background?
Yeah, absolutely. So I grew up in a religious household. My dad's Catholic, my mom is Lutheran. They found a church that was a mixture of Lutherans and Roman Catholics, and we'd separate for communion. And so I grew up right in the church, and a lot of my childhood was spent going to church functions and helping out on Saturdays. And I mean, we did not miss a Saturday. It was known in my family, like, you're in the car at 9, 10 a.m. because that's when we're leaving, and you better not be late. And at first, being Lutheran and getting ordained later on in my life as Lutheran, I never thought it as a high demand religion. I always thought, like, oh, this isn't like high demand. There's not really rules. But the subculture that God defined everything that you did. And you could only do kind things, nice things, if you were empowered by God. And everything that was bad or evil, that was you. Like, that was who you were. And so everything was laced with this religious undertone. And so growing up, church was really important to my family. We went all the time. And when I was in middle school, we have this tradition called confirmation, where it's basically believer baptism. You stand up in front of the church, you say, I'm going to be a member of the church my entire life. And I remember going to my parents saying, like, I don't know if I believe this stuff. Like, I don't know about this. And my mom said, well, like, why don't you just get confirmed and go through the ceremony? And then if you don't want to go to church, like, afterwards, you don't have to go to church. Well, by that time, I was so indoctrinated. I mean, that was a 2-year study program. We had to take sermon notes. I mean, the church became everything in my life. And so, yeah, I grew up in confirmation on Wednesday nights, church on Sunday nights, church service Sunday mornings. I mean, it was just such a major part of my life. That at that time I didn't view as high demand, but looking back, I'm like, ooh, like, that was a little crazy.
Right. And you being Lutheran I'm very excited to talk to you or ex-Lutheran,
Yeah.
because that is my husband's family. His mom and dad
Mm,
were, his mom is still alive. She is Lutheran.
mm,
And so my husband was baptized,
mm.
and he's not practicing, but he still believes in God and stuff, but
Yeah.
doesn't go to church or anything. And I'm just always so curious because I don't really like, ask my
Yeah.
mother-in-law questions because she believes that she's like a true Christian.
Yeah.
And, she says things like that, like, I know that you maybe tried Christianity and all that kind, but this is like real Christianity, that sort
Yeah.
of thing.
That's what they all say.
Yeah.
Right. Um, so yeah, so I'm really kind of excited to see how they actually think and what they teach them
Yeah.
because I don't really know.
It was interesting because we were never the weird ones. Like, we were the normal Christians. It was those Mormons, those Jehovah's Witness, like, those were the strange people. And
Right.
my wife is former Mormon, um, and so
Same.
it's interesting to be like, oh, like, it's just a different flavor. Like,
Hmm.
what you all went through and what I went through, like, there's so many connecting points. It was just explained to us in a very different way. But the manipulation, the emotional control, all there, all the same. The cool thing about us Lutherans is we get to say we're the frozen chosen. I mean, that was a cool thing coming out of Lutheranism that I had. So
What does
that
that
and
mean?
emotional
Yeah,
trauma.
we don't know what that means.
We're the selected. We're the chosen people of God, and since a lot of us come from Minnesota, we're the frozen chosen because it's so cold there.
Okay. Isn't it funny how each
Interesting.
of them thinks they're the chosen people?
Of
Yep.
course,
Oh, you're
that's
so
the
lucky that
doctrine.
you were born into the right one
Yeah.
out of all the thousands.
In the correct dispensation
Mhm.
is
Yes.
full.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So you mentioned that your mom told you to, go through confirmation. What was
Mhm.
your experience after that? So you got confirmed, in the church as Lutheran. What was growing up as a teenager like for you? And then what was your path that led you into becoming a pastor?
Yeah. So I grew up in a household that unknowing at the time had some pretty severe mental health disorders, narcissism, emotionally absent parent. And I mean, still to this day, they would not say that's what happened. But, as a kid, I was just looking to be loved and praised. And when you're a teenager trying to find yourself in the world and you're going to church, you have this system that's like, oh, you're so great. And, look at what you can do. And, God's calling you to do all these cool things. And so, here I am, a teenager trying to figure out who I am and what I believe. And there's this group of people that are just loving on me. And that kind of it cleaned up some of the errors. I thought, well, if all these people who I really like and respect, if they believe this, then it's got to be true. Like it has to be. Even though all the red flags, I'm like, this doesn't make sense. And why would I be born? Lutherans have a theology of we're born in bondage to sin. So the moment a baby is born, you're encased with sin. There's nothing you can do that's good.
Wow.
Nothing. I mean, toxic, abusive theology.
Even as a baby,
As
like
a baby, you're
so,
born
Lutherans believe that, these babies who are doing baby things are
sinful.
sinning?
They're sinning.
That's wild.
A
That's
baby
wild.
cries, baby sinning. Yep, baby acts up. That's just the sinful nature of the child.
Oh my.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is a
Um,
high level of toxicity that I cannot I'm a mom of a 14-month-old. So to think that everything that she does that's just a baby doing baby stuff is sinful is
yep.
wild.
And in our theology, baptism, we're killing the child. We're Our baptism is we're killing it to its true self, its core self. And when we bring it out of the water, then its sins have been wiped away by Jesus. Now it has new life. But the original life of that child was so sinful that we had to drown it in the waters of baptism.
Right.
That okay,
I'm
so
sorry, I'm just trying to think of a smart response, but I can't.
Yeah.
so John, I don't know if you've listened to any of our previous episodes, but
Hmm.
I grew up with no religion. So if you see my face
Ah,
making like these
Right.
really weird things, I
yeah.
am just like every guest just blows my mind. And
Yeah.
I've listened to all of our episodes and I think I've said blows my mind a million times and I really need to
Mm,
come up with another phrase, but
yeah.
that's really what it does.
Growing up in this church, which was, I mean, and I feel I have so much guilt as a pastor. I mean, I would tell these kids that were like 5 and 6, like, well, you're sinful, but at least there's Jesus. I mean, you're telling these small, impressionable children, like, I would never speak to anyone like I spoke to some of these kids. But yet it becomes so normalized. It becomes just like, well, this is what we believe. And that's what kind of led me out of my faith, is being like, wait a second here. What am I truly saying? Like, what do I truly believe? Because I would never walk up to a random person and be like, listen, like, you are 100% in sin. Like, you can do nothing good, just so you know. P.S. Have a great day. I mean, it's wild. It's
Right.
wild, but it becomes so normalized. And I just don't think people take the time to process. When you're in a group of like minded people, you don't have that time to be like, oh, well, what does that actually mean? Like, let's talk through the theology of like, if we believe A, then this is how it affects B and C and D and the rest of our lives. So it's wild. And when I tell people, like, as an anti-theist educator, like, do you know what you're actually saying? I mean, people are shocked, like, "Oh, that's not what we believe." Yeah, it is. I mean, look at the doctrines, look at the belief systems online. That's what you're saying. So,
Do you think, as an ex-pastor, that there's a lot of pastors up there that are struggling with that too?
absolutely. Oh, it's interesting, going to seminary at Luther Seminary in St. Paul. Um, I think a lot of pastors don't truly believe what they preach on Sunday.
I've
But
been saying this.
when you get so far down the rabbit hole, I mean, to become a pastor in the Lutheran Church, you have a bachelor's degree, you have a 4-year master's degree, you've done an internship, like, and because we do make a salary, but it's so dependent on the churches. I lived in a parsonage when I was a pastor, and so my home was dependent on my work as a pastor. And there is so much control in that. Like, if you don't toe the line, like, you're not gonna have a home. You've just got this degree that is now worth not a lot. So I think a lot of pastors, and in my journey stepping out, a lot of pastors have come and said, "Yeah, I don't believe in all this stuff, but what else am I gonna do? Like, where do I go?" So,
Right.
Right.
You have
Yeah.
so much invested at that point.
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm really interested in learning about your religious education,
Mhm.
especially like through theology. So you have is it a master's of divinity or a master's of theology?
Masters of Divinity.
Okay. I'm curious if like what was the coursework like and was there a point in time while you were learning that doubts started to creep in the more you learned about the Bible or how the Bible was put together or anything? I want to know all of the things.
Yeah, so, my undergraduate is in athletic training, and I minored in religion because when you go to Pacific Lutheran University, everyone minors in religion. And so I got a little taste, but I decided to go to Luther Seminary, drove out to Minnesota, and the coursework was incredibly intense. We learned biblical Hebrew, biblical Greek. For one of my classes, I had to translate John's third letter from the original Greek into English. And I think that's where my doubts started to set in because as you work with any religion or with any languages, you see that the interpreter has to make their own guesses, their best guesses on what the original text meant. And so I remember translating the Gospel of John and the three letters, and there'd be times I'd be translating it and thinking, like, well, I have to make a guess on what I think John meant in this moment. And that guess is going to change how I translate the rest of his writings. Like, I have to be academically consistent. And I remember just seeing how the professor would be like, well, this word could mean this or that. And I'm like, well, if it means this, like, that has a huge different theological implication. And if it means that, like, we're off on a different tangent. And so as when I was translating, and I remember I took biblical Hebrew in 30 days. I mean, it was just this crash course in Hebrew, which Hebrew is just a challenging language. But again, taking a look at the original manuscripts and the guesses that the authors had to make, I was like, this is I mean, imagine reading a book and like, we're going to take away 4 chapters, but guess what happens? And then here's the rest of the book.
Right. It's like you're playing Mad Libs or something.
Exactly.
Yeah, but then you throw in, like, people's own biases and what they want it to mean, so
Yep.
Sounds like you're playing Mad Libs, but then people are basing their entire belief system, their life, everything off of a Mad Lib,
Laws.
right?
Exactly. Exactly.
Laws. Yeah.
Yeah. And then just to see how, when I grew up in church, like, it's the Bible, like, it's the infallible word of God. And then I got to seminary, and then, well, it's infallible on topics of salvation. So, yeah, the Bible has a lot of errors and mistakes, but on salvation, it's perfect. And I'm like, how do you can't go from there?
they're
Like,
like, "Just don't think about it. Don't think too hard."
It's
Just
like
have faith.
yeah,
yeah,
no,
have,
it's like the
oh,
It's like the terms and conditions that you get with
Yeah,
your iPhone or whatever, except in all of my upbringing, no one ever gave me a terms and conditions with the Bible saying,
yeah,
"Oh, it's infallible except for this, and
yeah,
this."
yeah. I remember a professor, it was Old Testament, and he walks in the classroom, he's like, "Well, if you think Noah and the flood actually happened, you're wrong." And I was like, "Whoa, like what? Like Jonah wasn't swallowed by the whale? Like, what are you talking about?"
We just did an episode about all that.
Mm,
Yes, we did.
yeah,
It
so I
just
mean, it's
feels like
just
it should stop there. If you're like, this couldn't happen, or this
yeah.
sounds weird, or this sounds like it wasn't, like, really couldn't happen, why do we even keep going?
So yeah, so then it just the Bible started falling apart. And then also it was in seminary, so it's a 4-year degree, you do a 1-year internship. And so I went out to this small little town, Battle Lake, Minnesota, over by Fergus Falls, town of 200 people. And I worked, I mean, it was 6 days a week. You know, I was the intern pastor. If anything went wrong, like basically it was free labor for the church. And so I got a house. Um, but finally they calculated all the days that I had worked. And the last month of my internship, they're like, listen, you're off. Like, we have to give you days off. Legally, we have to give you days off. And so I would take my normal day off, which was Monday. I would take vacation um, Tuesday through Saturday. I'd show up to worship on Sunday, and I would do that entire schedule all over again because I had been working so much and hadn't been getting any time off that our council president was like, "You're going to sue us. Like, if we don't give you any time off, like, we're going to get sued."
You're all
So
good idea.
yeah, I'm like, that's um,
I hadn't thought about that, but thanks.
Now that you
Right?
mention it.
Yeah.
yeah. So and then you come back, so you do 2 years of study, 1 year internship, and then one final year of study. And I mean, everything, the Pauline letters. And what was challenging is I remember the professors kind of going back to your point, like, I'd be like, well, this doesn't make sense. Well, that's where faith comes in. Or what I posted on my TikTok today, God works in mysterious ways. That just sounds like bullshit to me. Like, that just sounds like bullshit.
Mhm.
So, um, but at that point, because I had, you know, pretty low self-esteem of who I was and what I was doing, like I was just searching for any community that would give me that emotional support that I needed. And so it's like, well, at least these people like me. At least I have a place here. And so it's not perfect, but yeah, I guess it is. It's God's part of God's plan. Um, which no, that's part of emotional abuse.
Mhm.
So yeah,
Yeah.
it was a long master's program.
Wow.
Yeah. So then after your master's program, you were a full-fledged pastor in the Lutheran church? Is that my
So
understanding?
you can graduate, but then a church has to call you before you get ordained. So your senior year of seminary, you enter into what we call the draft. And bishops from all over the US, they can call you wherever.
Oh.
You really have no power in where you're going to go.
It's like being
And so
stationed in the military.
exactly.
Mhm. It's
Yeah,
like having a mission call in the Mormon church.
yep.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
you cannot if you don't if you don't accept your call, it looks really bad. So I got called to the Altoona Synod, which is near Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I interviewed at a church, and not only do you have to be called to an area, but then a church has to say, "Oh, we find John worthy of ordination." And so I interviewed at this small, it was a 2-point parish, so it was 2 churches, and they called me. They officially called me, so then I got ordained.
I had no idea it was so rigorous.
Yeah.
Wow.
And is it like the draft or something where people are hoping that they get like a mega church or something where they're gonna make all this money or get all this fame or something?
Your first call, you're basically told like, "Hey, your first call is gonna burn you out. We're gonna send you to some podunk small church. You have to be there 3 years. Like, you cannot move. And if you move, then another bishop is not gonna take you because these are regional bishops, and they all talk to each other. And so you gotta survive 3 years, and after that, then you can start looking for another church or a church that fits your lifestyle. And so at that time, I actually married another seminarian, and we were hoping either East Coast or West Coast. She was from Philadelphia area. And so going out to Pennsylvania, it was near her family. Like we were happy. We weren't in North Dakota. We were in South Dakota. Like
Right. It could be worse.
could be worse. Not
Yeah.
great, but it's not the Dakotas. So, but I mean, you have so the bishops get together in the fall, and they get together on a Tuesday, and Wednesday they'll give you a call. So that day I woke up just terrified. I'm like, am I going to get picked up? Am I going to get, does the bishop want me? And it was the middle of the day that the bishop called, and he said, "Yeah, we're going to take you in the Altoona." And I was like, "Where's Altoona? Like, where is this place?" I had no idea. So it was wild.
Wow.
It was a wild
I mean, it
experience.
definitely sounds like a fake place. Like, Altoona does not sound like a real name of a place, especially not in Pennsylvania. That sounds like
Yeah.
a scam.
Yeah. It was
Yeah.
it was a weird place. And then, yeah, I mean, they send you to these congregations that are probably actively dying, and, a fresh new seminarian is going to give them some life. And so, um, go out there, move your entire life. If you have a family, move your family out there, and, don't complain about it.
And out there, they pay for your house too?
Yep. So I lived in a parsonage. So I lived right across. You could actually see the church from where I was living. And, I told congregation members, I said, "Hey, like, this is my home. If the church is burning down, like, come on over. I'll probably see it burning down." Um, I would have people randomly show up all hours of the day and night. "Oh, do we have Bible study tomorrow?" "Yeah, we have it every Thursday.
Oh my God.
Doesn't change."
Oh, no. Oh, no.
And I had members that were like, "Well, we're paying for your house. Like, you don't get privacy."
Mm.
Like,
Excuse me?
yeah,
Wow.
you don't
The
get privacy.
entitlement. Wow.
Yeah.
Is the structure similar to, like, the Catholic Church? I know you mentioned bishops. Are there, like, cardinals and then, archdiocese? Is there a equivalent of a pope? I don't know anything about the
So
Lutheran Church.
yes-ish.
Okay.
So, one thing I had to learn about the Mormon Church is that a bishop for me as a Lutheran church was like a person that oversaw a group of Lutheran churches in an area. Well, bishops in the Mormon Church are ward leaders, or they. And so
Right.
my wife and I, we first started talking. She's like, "Oh yeah, I see my bishop all the time." I'm like, "Oh God, why would you want to see that? Like if you see the bishop, that's a bad thing." Um, so pastors are over a church, and then bishops are over a group of churches. And so, like, the state of Washington has two bishops, one on the west side of the state, one on the east side of the state. And then from those bishops is elected we call it the presiding bishop, and that would be our pope. And they run the entire church. So, yeah, it's very similar structure, just very different terms.
So it's like Catholic light?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we would joke around that us Lutherans were diet Catholics, that we were the same substance for half the sacraments. And so I always like that.
Does your presiding bishop, does he have a costume, an outfit? Does he have a
Oh yeah.
hat?
Oh my gosh. Absolutely. It's very Pope-esque. So right now the Lutheran Church has a female bishop, and we call it the mitre. Um, and then they have the staff. They have to carry the sheep staff. And then they have all the robes. And I was never very high church because I'm a big guy. I have an efficient cooling system. Like, I didn't want to wear a whole bunch of robes in a church that was super hot and falling down.
Yeah, like one robe is good.
Yeah, one robe is just fine for me.
So a female bishop seems pretty, like, kind of progressive. Is that a new thing, or has it always kind of been like that in
The Lutheran church that I come from politically has been very progressive. And I think that was one of the things that kept me in for so long, is that I could say, well, politically, like, we are progressive. When issues about marriage equality, like, we always fell on the side of justice for that. And so politically, they're very progressive, very left wing. But I think some of the core toxicity is the same as more of a conservative evangelical church.
That's interesting.
Uh,
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I didn't know that either. So how did you get from pastor of a Lutheran congregation to the Godless Guide? How
Yeah.
did you I'm just curious to know. I always compare it to this. Was it a light switch moment or was it a sunrise moment? Was it an instant flick of a switch or was there a slow, gradual enlightenment?
I think for me, it was a sunrise moment. So I went through a divorce in 2018 because, again, we were taught in seminary, if you don't find love in seminary, then you're never gonna be married. So it's seminary is like the what's that show, like Too Hot to Handle?
Oh,
It's
is it
like
Love Island?
Love Island, but Christian version,
God,
which
fun.
is very uncomfortable as
A new
seminarians.
pastor has entered the what is it
Exactly.
what is
The
it?
villa.
The
Yeah,
villa, okay. A new
exactly.
bombshell pastor has entered the villa.
Exactly. And so I went through my divorce and I knew I wanted to be a chaplain. I didn't really like teaching or, like Bible studies, but I enjoyed interpersonal relationships with people. And so that was really core to who I was and who I am. And so I applied for a chaplain residency. As a pastor, you have to do, we call it CPE, clinical pastoral education. So it's 3 months where you volunteer at a hospital and you learn what a chaplain does. So I came home. My parents live here in Hillsboro, Oregon, about an hour away. And I applied for the Legacy program, which is a level 1 pediatric and adult trauma center, as well as a burn center. So I wanted like the bad stuff, the nasty stuff. And so it was during my residency where I was removed from that isolation of the Lutheran church. And so I had my supervisor, he was talking to me one day. He's like, "Oh, like, what do you believe about original sin?" And I was like, "Well, the Lutheran church says this." He's like, "Well, cool. I don't care. Like, I want to know, what does John believe?" And I was like, it's kind of bullshit. Like, like I'm supposed to tell children, like the children that I see as a pediatric clinician, like, I'm supposed to go to their parents like, "Hey, yeah, your kid has cancer because, well, they're in bondage to sin. So, like, what did you expect?" And during that time, I met a humanist, and their name's Jovan. And the first day of residency, we are going around saying our religious traditions, and he said, "Well, I'm a humanist," and I was like, what is that?" And he said, "Oh, it's individuals that believe that you don't need to seek like supernaturalism to make meaning of your life. That you get to make meaning of your life through your personal relationships, your connections with animals and nature." And I was like, "Oh, hell yeah. Like, I can get behind that." Um, and so we had to do overnight shifts at the hospital and just see horrific things. But they would finish their shift at 10 and I would say, "Hey, can I just pick your brain? Can we go get coffee?" And they were always like, "Absolutely, yeah, let's talk about it." And I realized that talking with them and then seeing all these cracks, I was like, I can't do this anymore. Like, I can't keep performing. I can't keep doing this stuff that is really just life draining. And so midway through my residency, I just kind of stepped out one day. I said, "Hey, like, I don't want to be a Lutheran anymore. I'm not a Lutheran. It's not what I believe. I want to be, I want to get my endorsement as a professional chaplain as a humanist." So to become a board certified chaplain, it's another year of education. You have to write for your board certifications. It's about 100 pages of writing. You have to have an endorsement from a religious community. And humanism, the American Humanist Association, is the only atheist, non theistic group that you can be a part of and still be a chaplain. So
Oh,
that's
wow.
when I said, all right, I'm out. I'm done. So yeah, it was, I mean, to work in healthcare, I worked before and after in a trauma center during COVID. And I mean, I saw parents deny their kids medication because of their religious beliefs. Like, I held up iPads as people said goodbye to their dear loved ones who were dying of COVID. And they're like, "Well, if God wants them to get through, they're going to get through it." And I'm like, who are you?
I worked in healthcare for 20 years, and I left in 2017 when I had my 4th baby.
Mm,
And I am so glad that I left when I left and didn't have to
mhm,
see any of that. But I worked in administration, in registration, admitting, and so I
mhm.
dealt with the chaplains for
Yeah.
almost probably 16 years
Mm,
and saw a lot of Christian Scientists, a lot of Jehovah's Witnesses, a lot of people deny a lot of things to their kids because of their religion.
yeah.
And it just, every time any agnostic in me, because I always joke that my beliefs are cyclical, like
Mm,
hormonal. Sometimes I'm agnostic, sometimes I just like stare at the stars and go like there has to be something else. Sometimes I'm a staunch atheist, sometimes I'm a secular
mhm,
humanist. It just depends on like what's going on, but it just
mhm.
sucked any agnosticism that I had in me at that time of my life sucked it out because every time they would deny their kids blood products or anything, it was just like, "What are you what?" And it's like one
Yeah,
little snippet in the Bible, right?
yeah.
Like, about blood.
Yeah, and it was I mean, those parts are written to a community that is they don't know, they don't have the medical knowledge to know this is safe blood, this isn't safe blood. Don't eat shellfish had nothing to do that God hates crustaceans. There are fish that are killing our community, and so instead of doing the scientific experiments
Yep.
because we don't have that information, we're just gonna ban all fish. So, it's wild. It's just wild to see how
Mhm.
people use the Bible.
Yeah, we just spent a good amount of time talking about how people will pick and choose the things that will apply to them or what they're trying to
Mhm.
convey. I guess one question that I had was in your time as a pastor, were you ever up there like giving a sermon and in your mind you're like, this is bullshit? Or had you not gotten to that point while you were still actively a member of the is it clergy?
Yeah,
did
it's
they call
clergy.
okay, okay.
I think for me it was I mean, there was a couple moments where I'm like, "What are we talking about here?" I think the thought that I had every week was, "How many times do I have to repeat myself to not be a jerk?" Like, how many ways can I say, "Please don't be a jerk?" Like, Jesus says, "Don't be a jerk." And yet my members, I mean, I was I was a pastor the first time Donald Trump got elected, and 95% of my members were supporters of Trump.
Mhm.
And I'm like, how can you hear me on Sunday where I'm talking about helping out the vulnerable and the immigrant and the houseless and whoever, and yet go to the ballot box and do what you just did?
Right. Why do you think that is that I mean, Trump and Jesus are so different. Why do you think it is that they merge the 2 and act like he's anything Christ-like? It just boggles my mind.
I think for me, and part of my deconstruction was being able to sit with feelings that are uncomfortable, being able to sit with the unknown, being able to say, well, I don't know. Trump gives a very like cut and dry. We had to study developmental psychology, and Piaget gives this like emotional intelligence level. And Trump speaks to individuals that need that very black and white. I
Mhm.
mean, it's children that are 2 and 3, like don't touch the stove. It's too hot. And the way that you progress with Piaget and Erickson is feeling emotional safety. Eric Erickson's stages of development, you can only move if you have that psychological safety. And I think a lot of individuals are the generations who have come before us, their primary role as a parent was not to provide emotional safety. It was to provide food on the table and a roof over your head and things like that. And so emotions and grief are so foreign to a lot of
Mhm.
people. And that's what I love my work as a hospice chaplain is I get to invite people into that grief. I'm strong enough to create an environment where we can talk about grief and death and dying and all those emotions and things that maybe they weren't able to talk about as just people. And so I think Trump speaks to a very underdeveloped brain, because it's a lot safer to say I'm in and you're out than to say, well, wait a second, why do we have systemic poverty and houselessness, and why our mental health, like, why is that degrading so quickly, instead of, well, obviously, like, they're in bondage to sin. So of course they're on the street. Like, duh.
Right.
Right.
That makes sense.
It's the lack of nuance, right?
Absolutely.
And I definitely feel like religion as it is in America with Christianity, there is that lack of nuance, right? Like
Yep.
everything is that black and white thinking. It's
Yep.
you do this and this is good, and if you do this, this is bad and this is sin. And if you do the
Yeah.
good things, you go to the good place. If you do the
Yep.
bad things, you go to the bad place. Like
Yep.
there's no gray area.
Hmm.
In religion. And so when you were speaking on that same subject, it's really easy to compare the two when you're
Yep.
thinking about the way that Donald Trump is successful in
Yep.
what he does as a politician in this current climate, because there is that lack of amongst our population, it seems like the lack of critical thinking has
Yep.
started to slip away.
And then, the thing that I see a lot of, to say that you're wrong is so hard. To say, like, oh, like, I got duped. That is such a human thing. To make a mistake is to be human. I forgot who said, maybe Socrates, like, to err is to human. But we have created this culture where making a mistake is a personal identity flaw. So instead of being like, hey, you know what? I was wrong. I got more information. Now I think different. People just, they just sit down in their beliefs. Um, they have this, we call it an adversarial self-object need of, like, I'm just going to be difficult to be difficult, because the thought that I could have done something wrong for my ego, it's too much to handle.
Uh-huh.
And then again, the question of, well, where am I supposed to go? I've spent 4 years believing in this super politician. Where do I go now?
Right.
So
Yeah, that takes a lot to admit that you're wrong.
yeah.
It's probably embarrassing.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
I
people
wouldn't
like
know. I've never
you
been wrong.
same.
I can
Um,
imagine when you're wrong, it would be embarrassing, but I've never personally experienced it.
Yeah, that's not something that I can identify with.
Yeah.
but that's why I feel like people like you, John, are amazing that you can sit with the things that you've done in the past, the things that hurt people that,
Yeah.
um, and reconcile that by changing
Yeah.
and learning and growing. And it it is easy, especially bleeding heart liberals like me. It's hard when
Yeah.
you start to see that maybe they're changing and you want to be like, too fucking bad. You
Yeah.
voted for this, you did this, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
You can't change your mind now. But
Yeah.
then you also have to be like, they need a space or they're not going to come fully around. They need
Yeah.
people to and there's that fine line of like, I don't want to baby you. You did this to yourself. But
Yeah.
also, that's another person that we can get on our side
Yeah.
to get out of whatever is happening right now. I don't even want to look at the news or
Yeah.
TV or anything right now. But there is, people like you give me hope because I it is known that like with friends and family and people that know me, my husband and I are on opposite sides of
Yeah.
politics. When we met, we were on the same side, and over the years he's gone way to the other side.
Mm.
And sometimes I feel that he was there once
Yeah.
with me and I feel like he could get back there, but now I'm
Yeah.
scared he would never admit that, even if he feels
Yeah.
it, because he doesn't wanna hear from me or people like, "Well, we told you," you know?
Right.
And so I
Yeah.
think he might sit with stuff that he maybe doesn't believe in anymore,
Yeah.
only because he doesn't wanna say that
Yeah.
he's wrong, you know?
Yeah.
So, it's tough.
Yeah. It is. It is.
So, I appreciate people like you who have the strength
Well,
to come out and and say, I got
yeah.
new
Well, thank
information
you.
and here it is.
Well, and, I think that's why I take pride in being an anti-theist educator. I have really kind of wrestled with, like, well, do I just step out and, like, say what I really want to say? And, um, my journey is, as I'm learning and I'm getting more messages from people, So many people have gone through a deconstruction like mine, and really asking people, and I did a lot of change when I asked myself, like, what's at stake for me in this? Like, what's at stake? What am I protecting? And that's a vulnerable place for a lot of people because,
Mhm.
like you've said, it's so much easier to say, listen, I'm not going to do that hard work, that deep dive, because the ego is one of the most fragile things that we have. And when that's threatened, then we just tightened up. So, that's why I love working with people as a chaplain or just through my TikTok to say, like, what's at stake? Like, what's keeping you here? Because most of the time it's like, well, my community, or, I felt embarrassed. Like, I believe this stuff and I was hardcore for 36 years. Like, that's probably at least half my life. And
Right.
so being able to say, well, I was there, and, this is where I'm going now. This is what I'm thinking now. But, to be able to hold two very different things at the same time, it's hard for a lot of people. It's easier just to hold on to one.
And as a hospice chaplain, I mean, I would imagine that you can't always be yourself with people. Do you find that you're telling them things because it's the end to kind of make them feel better, or how do you do
Yeah.
that?
I definitely don't walk into rooms like, well, you're wrong. Let me tell you. Um, I think I always get to be myself in the sense that I get to ask a lot of questions and I get to be curious. And at the same time, I get to recognize, like, hey, your beliefs are not my beliefs. And so really what I want to do as a hospice chaplain is to say, like, well, what beliefs, what core principles have helped you through a difficult time? What beliefs haven't been helpful?
Mhm.
Um, I'll ask a lot of open-ended questions. And there's some times where I'm like, ooh, this is this is not good. Like, this is super toxic.
Mhm.
And in those moments, what the person needs is just another person to sit with them in that. They'll get there. I mean, I've seen it time and time again. I don't have to solve any problems. I believe that everyone has it in themselves to solve the things that they're going through. I just get to be that reflective mirror. So there are times where I'll say, well, wait a second here. You said you believe that God has a plan for your life, and at the same time, you're really anxious about death and dying. Can you help me understand, like, how you can hold those two things together? And then I think they start processing it in their own head. They're like, "Oh, that doesn't make sense. Like, if God has a plan, then why am I afraid?" And
Right.
so again, it's just pointing at the elephant in the room to say, "Well, you've said this and you've said that, so help me understand how those two are connected."
Mm.
Questions are my biggest skill and my biggest tool that I use. I don't tell people I'm an atheist. I don't tell people I'm a former Lutheran pastor. I'm a chaplain that helps you process, spiritual, emotional needs. I had one guy that his whole goal, his spiritual care goal, was to watch the Oregon Ducks win the national football championship. And so we met every Monday at 10 o'clock. I would look up the Oregon Duck football score and I would go talk to him about the football game because that's how he found meaning and peace in his life. And he had a peaceful death. And I've also worked with conservative Christians that will say, well, can you pray for me? Absolutely. If that's how you find meaning, great. I'm happy to offer a prayer. I'll also say, like, well, what words, like, tell me some things that are meaningful to you so I can add it in. For me, when I'm dying, I just want my bulldog and my family. Um, so it's a unique job being an atheist. And then there are some patients that will really push. They'll say, like, well, what do you believe? What do you believe? And I'm like, oh, like, they need to feel like we're on the same team.
Right.
And very, very rarely, 2 times in 5 years, have I said, well, that's not what I believe. I'm a humanist. And one woman, super conservative Christian, she called me the devil. She's like, well, you get out of my room. All right,
Wow.
cool.
Wow.
Well,
Wow.
I also have tattoos. So that was another sign that I was the devil incarnate.
Oh,
So,
right. Yes.
yeah.
we all.
Yeah.
We're all the devil
Helmet
incarnate in
stickers
that
is,
case.
yeah, just a sign.
Yeah,
Right.
Did you get
love
those
that.
after leaving religion or
I did.
okay, I would assume so, but I don't know if
Yeah,
they're
so
allowed.
So Lutheran pastor, we don't have anything against it.
Okay.
It's frowned upon a little bit, and so I've always wanted an English bulldog. As you can tell, there's artwork behind me, and so I got our English bulldog tattooed on me, on my left forearm, and it was super cool. My artist's like, "Yeah, bring him into the front part of the tattoo shop," and so there's a picture of like the fresh ink with Teddy's head right there,
Oh.
and then I
Oh.
was like, "All right, like I'm putting all everything I love on my right arm," and so I have a half sleeve right now. I'm working up for a full sleeve, and my parents are appalled by it. I mean, they hate it,
I
but
That's
I
awesome.
understand.
love it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
my whole
I
extended family
understand.
is Mormon, so I'm very
Mm,
used to being the black sheep and
yeah,
getting all kinds of looks.
yeah. I just now show up. I used to tell my parents like, "Hey, I'm getting this tattoo," and I would just show up to their house, and they're like, "Did you get another tattoo?" Absolutely, I did.
Yeah,
So
that's so funny. It's therapy.
yeah,
It's
And also, if
cathartic.
your body is a temple, like, we're allowed to
Let's
decorate it.
decorate
"Hey,
it.
it's my
Yeah.
body."
exactly. I love
Yeah,
that.
absolutely. Well, also, like, life is too short to not embrace the things that you love and
Yeah,
to live life, unapologetically you. So if that
yeah,
means doodling all over your body in a permanent way, then I say doodle all over your body, you
yeah,
know? Yeah.
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 Absolutely.
So I know you've kind of touched on it, but like your relationship with spirituality now, you've mentioned that you're a humanist. Are there any daily practices or rituals that you participate in that kind of set the tone for your spirituality and your beliefs?
You know, I think with my experience, being in the church and really feeling like I mean, this probably isn't the right way to say it, but it's like, man, I just wasted 35 years. Like I'm never gonna get those years back. And so, I mean, there's still such a deep sense of grief about that I really I don't really have rituals that I do. I think for me, what's important is just that human connection. Every day I want to connect with my wife. I want to connect with my stepkids. I want to connect with my dog. I want to take time to just appreciate the beauty. Up here, we're having a major heat wave. It's supposed to be 100 for a couple days, and like taking time to be like, hey, like I'm gonna appreciate the outdoors. I'm gonna go sit by a lake, sit by a river. Um, the one thing that Martin Luther talked about that I connected with so much, and even as a humanist, is he talked about a daily baptism, that every day God makes us new, and that when we're washing ourselves or when we're in a river, that all of our sins are is washed away again. And I've really connected with the thought of those things that I may want to change about myself, or maybe I'm a little short tempered with my kids. When I hop into the shower or when I hop into a lake, like I don't have to be the same person I am today as I was yesterday. And so all those small things that are just sticking on me, they get to go away. So I think that's the closest thing I've done to rituals. But for me, just that human connection is so vitally important that, um, every day I gotta connect with my beloved, with my chosen community. So I think that's probably my rituals right now.
Do you have a lot of atheist friends or
No.
anyone? No.
It's us. We're his
Yeah, that's
atheist
right.
friends.
I just gained 3 of them today. So,
Yay.
Yay!
It's a good start.
I've been shocked about how leaving the church has affected my relationships with people. Atheism, even here in the Northwest, it feels like it's such a dirty word. Like people say, "Oh, you're agnostic, cool," but when I say, well, like, "Well, I'm an atheist," like
You're like,
evidence
"Ooh."
is very important to me.
Mhm,
I mean, it's like I have leprosy,
mhm.
and so
Oh, we know.
yeah, and that's something that I've like leaned into. I'm like, no, like I'm an atheist. I'm an atheist. I don't have the evidence that I need. Like, yes, could there be a giant spaghetti monster with a top hat controlling
Mhm.
our lives? There could be, but until you provide me that evidence, I'm not going to say there is. And so, yeah, I've lost a lot of. I mean, obviously, church friends gone. I've had a lot of church members contact me and say, "Well, hey, I see you're an atheist." And I kind of whittled it down with one of them, and what they're really asking is, "Well, what about the time we spent together? What about the church services and the Christmas Eves and the mission trips we went on? Doesn't that mean anything to you?" And so I've really kind of restructured that conversation to say, "Hey, like I love all those memories that we have together and helping people and serving people. I love that, but my personal beliefs have changed." And so um, I still think I'm kind of finding my people that I can talk about atheism with and anti-theism stuff with. I mean, even as a chaplain, like, my boss was like, "Yeah, I don't want you to tell people you're an atheist. Say you're a humanist." Like that, it's such a dirty word. It's
Right.
just wild.
People seem to, like, associate it with, like, you're a Satanist, and you're like,
Yeah,
"I don't believe in any of that."
yeah,
So
Yeah, anything
exactly.
that's not Christian or one of the, like, well-known religions, anything
Yeah,
outside of that, it's even, like because I feel like humanism is somewhat new.
yeah,
It may have been around for a while, but we really haven't put a name on it,
yep,
till recently, and so, it's like a woke
yep.
agenda like everything else.
And if they say something that I think is just ridiculous, then I'm probably going to say something about it. Like it's not the nice pastor like, "Oh yeah, okay." Like, no, if you say something that's offensive or sexist or ableist, like I'm going to call you out on it because as an atheist, like that's where I feel called to do. And so
Right.
it's just interesting to see people's how they've responded to my faith deconstruction as a personal attack to their beliefs. When I'm like,
Mhm.
this has nothing to do with you. I'm still the same John. I still have the same likes and dislikes. I just don't believe in your theology.
Right. We had a, interviewee, and she said something similar, like, they weren't they were not looking at it like I had changed and grown and just taken a
Mhm.
different path. They looked at it like I had fallen and,
Yep.
like, fallen from grace, and I am like, there's no hope for me unless I go back,
Yep.
So, yeah,
Yeah,
that has to
exactly.
be tough.
do you have anyone still in religion that you wish you could get a message across to?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, for me, living authentically is so important. And I'm not gonna say their names, their family. It's the individuals that I feel that their faith is still so performative that I believe they're so close. They are so close to deconstruction. Those are the
Mhm.
ones that it's just like, "Dang it." Like, and they've started watching my TikToks, and they're commenting, and they're doing these things, and I'm like, "You are so close." But the ties and they're Mormons, the ties are so strong in that community that
The
I'm
hooks
like,
are in.
the hooks are in. And these are individuals who are in their 60s, in the 70s.
Mm,
Yeah, I've given up all hope on, any of my family
Yeah,
changing on that. Yeah,
yeah,
it
it's
happens.
you know, I have former pastors that are, like, full bore 100% Christians. I know I'm not touching them, like, I'm not gonna get them totally cool, and that's not my point necessarily, but it's those ones where I'm like, "Just say it out loud." Like, just say it out loud because 'cause you're there. Like, you
right.
are so close. I mean, those are the ones that they just keep me up at night, and I have Shay has people in her family, I have people in my family that I'm like, "If you would just state out loud what you believe, you would see the inconsistencies."
Right.
Um, those are the tough ones for me. So but they're watching my TikTok, so keep watching,
Yeah.
keep
Yeah.
Yeah,
looking.
there might be one that finally, like,
Yeah,
hits home. And
yeah,
speaking of your TikTok, there was, one that what was it? Oh, people ask you, "What evidence would you need to
yeah,
believe in God again?" Or, whatever,
yeah,
and you say that it is like, God knows what that
yeah,
answer is, and if he's not presenting himself to me, even though he knows everything about me and he knows
yeah,
what it would take for me to believe, and he
yeah.
doesn't do it, but just for fun,
Yeah.
what evidence would you need?
Oh gosh. Um, if the Seattle Mariners won the World Series, then I would think that's a pretty, that's a sign that maybe there's a God. Um,
Pick something more realistic.
Exactly.
You gotta have more faith. Where's your
Yeah.
faith?
Right.
Yeah.
Where's your faith?
Um, I would it's so hard because working in the medical system, like, I have patients that have visions. When you're really close to death, you'll have
Mhm.
visions of people, and so, you know, I don't know, a vision, like, I would need undisputable, God is right here, not a vision. I mean, it has to be a communal event.
Right.
It can't be a singular, like, the entire city of Camas, the entire world. Like, God's gotta show up where there's a camera phone. That's all I'm
Right.
saying. So,
We were just talking about how it's so mysterious how all of the miracles stopped around the same time cameras were invented. I don't know if there's
yeah,
correlation.
exactly,
Yeah, I don't know.
exactly.
Right.
So that's what I would need. I guess I would need kinda like a formal introduction. God coming down and saying, "I am God. I've created the world. Here I am. Um, ask me all your questions." I mean, it would have to be a very honest, valuable conversation, vulnerable conversation where God said, "Let's talk about slavery. Let's talk about genocide. Let's talk about all these things. And you can ask any questions you want.
Right.
I will be here as long as you need and take all the video you want."
Right.
And I would need to see his ID.
Right.
I would need to see his driver's
Yep.
license, his registration, his social security card. I need to and it needs to all match. All the
Yep.
names need to match,
Right.
and then I
Right.
might, right?
And 7 years of employment and,
Yes.
Yes.
his housing
Taxes.
records, yeah,
Yes.
taxes.
All of the above.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Epstein
Right.
files, throw that in there for fun. I mean, why not?
Yes.
So,
Fuck yes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, yeah, that was my main one. And you touched on a lot of the other ones, like the God works in mysterious ways. I hate that so much.
yeah.
The hate the sin, love the
Love
sinner.
the
We've
sinner.
touched on that before. So condescending.
Yeah.
I had a miscarriage in 2020,
Mm.
and I got from people like, "Oh, it's God's plan," or it's,
Ugh.
God works in mysterious way. It's obviously not part of his plan. And it's like, are you like, what
Fuck
makes you think
you.
that
Yeah.
that yes, what makes you think that that helps
Fuck
me in
you.
any
Yeah.
way? Exactly.
Yeah.
I know. I know. And so that just when you brought those up, I was like, that, you touched on a lot of things that are in my brain right now. And as somebody
Yeah.
who is never raised in religion, I appreciate that you're finding these things now and
Yeah.
telling people like this is bullshit and it's not even in the Bible and it's, like flesh and blood people have said these things and that doesn't make
Yeah.
them true or right or
Yeah.
helpful in any way.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
but
Can you tell us some more about your new series? No, the Bible doesn't say that. I would love to hear about it.
Yeah, so I mean, it started with, for me, part of the Godless Guide, I want to advocate. I want to advocate for communities that have been marginalized. I mean, I'm a straight white male, like I am Mr. Privilege. And so, I feel that there's a responsibility with my personal power and privilege to advocate for individuals, communities that have been oppressed and continue to be oppressed. And unfortunately, we're seeing the rate of their oppression skyrocket due to this current administration.
Right.
mhm.
And so um, my wife and I, guilty pleasure number one, we love reality TV shows. So Love is Blind on Netflix, season 17. Yeah, what? Um, so the guys, PS, are jerks on that season. They're just awful. Anyway, so I'll be sitting and just like, well, like what would have helped me deconstruct faster? And so I just came up with the idea of like, well, no, the Bible doesn't say that. The Bible doesn't say marriage is between one man and one woman. It's historically this is what it's about, or God works in mysterious ways. That was from an 18th century song. Like that's where it came about. And so every day I just want people to start knocking down the ideas that they think are in the Bible. I want them to start critically thinking like the Bible actually doesn't say that. And yet we have so much theology um around it that is so toxic. I mean, if I were given a quarter every time working as a chaplain, that I would hear someone say, like, I guess God needed another angel. Like, and that's why the person died. Like, fuck you. Like, that's my grandfather. Fuck you.
Mhm.
Um, and again, there's all this bullshit that makes us feel better in the moment, but doesn't actually help us engage with our grief, which as a chaplain, I want people to do. So yeah, putting stuff out every day, and also sometimes it's just about throwing stuff at the wall. So I have all these ideas. I really want to go back to bad church leadership because as a pastor for 10 years, I saw just horrific things. So it's throwing out a topic. If it hits, I'll make some more. The
Mhm.
one thing I'm noticing is hitting is when I say I'm a former pastor turned atheist. I mean, people won't debate the video, they'll debate that. And I'm
Right.
like, you don't get to decide. You don't get to decide that." So,
Right. And I've
um,
seen, like, people approve you were a pastor.
So what's
wow.
crazy to me about that is, like, at least, like, in the Mormon church, like, it's their the bishop, like, the person that's up there every Sunday,
Yeah,
he's just a regular guy. He never went to any kind of school of theology, and there's
yeah,
so many other pastors from different churches that have no formal religious background or
Mhm.
training or education, and, like, John, like, you've given us your pedigree, like, you went through it.
yeah,
So if there's
Yes.
truly, like, anyone that understands theology and understands the Bible, like, it's
yeah,
somebody that's gone through 4 years of seminary plus an internship plus a chaplain residency, so
yeah,
it's wild to me that, like, you have all of these credentials that will be questioned, but, like, any Joe Blow can go open up a church down the street and people
yeah,
will believe them, and they have credibility because they're standing behind the
Right.
pulpit.
Yeah, and I think that's why I had no idea how rigorous it was because, like I said, my whole family's Mormon, and I'm just like, "What do you mean a bishop has to go through all of that? Our bishop is just,
Guy
a
that owns the
dude."
car dealership.
yeah,
Yeah,
Right.
right.
yeah, yeah.
And they're
It's
giving
wild.
marriage advice. People are going to them. Like, I'm in groups all the time because I have 4 kids, I'm in, like, a
Mhm.
large family group on Facebook, and a lot of it is religious. I actually had to start a secular one because I was, like, tired of that, but,
Yeah,
um and, a lot of them will be like, "My husband is this," or "My husband is that," and everybody's like, "Oh, well, go get therapy with your church." And I'm
yeah,
like, "They have no formal training. Like, what the
yeah,
fuck are they gonna tell you that
yeah,
like, can help you at all?" Because they just are like, "Oh, I stand up here and I know what I'm talking about, so I'm gonna give you mental health advice and marriage counseling and all this kind
yeah.
of stuff." And it's like, "What?"
I
Right.
had a woman come into my office when I was an intern, and I made a TikTok about this, and it was one of my first ones that really went viral. And she came in and said that she was being physically harmed by her
Mm,
husband.
mhm.
And, she was looking for resources to, not to go through divorce, but just resources about counseling or, what to do next. And I was like, listen, I'm the intern. Like, this is above my scope of practice. Let's go involve the lead pastor. So we went there, and the lead pastor said, I don't really want to pick sides about this. And so we can't give you any research. Like, as a church, we're gonna be neutral on this.
I'm
Well, that's,
sorry. Fuck you. Like,
yeah,
Right?
what?
Yes.
What?
yep,
I don't wanna pick sides
yep,
in an intimate partner violence situation?
yep,
Wow. I mean, I'm not
Yeah,
shocked,
that's
but
bad.
it's
Right. I'm
still
not shocked,
horrific.
but still, I think a part of it is, like, maybe my guard had been let down a little bit because, John, you mentioned that, like, the Lutheran church was a little bit more progressive, so I was thinking,
yeah,
like, "Oh, they're gonna help this woman." No, they're not.
yeah.
No, they're not.
Mm, mm-mm.
And those are the same structures that, with my wife that we connect that there's this strong desire protect the church at all cost.
Yeah.
Mhm,
We're not about protecting people. We are
mm-mm.
protect the church at all costs. And
It's
so
a
we take
PR thing.
it is. It's the worst PR in the world. Um and later on, that woman was fleeing her abusive husband, struck him with a car. And she got one phone call and she called me at 2 in the morning in Fergus Falls in the jail.
Wow.
And so I went and sat with her for 4 hours until she went through her arrangement. I mean, it was
I
awful.
I saw that, and I saw that somebody called you out on that and said, "You
Yeah,
failed her because
yeah,
you didn't help her when she first came to you," and you were like, "I did.
yeah,
I did." But
yeah,
it's hard when you don't know and you were,
Yeah.
young and new to it
Yeah.
and an intern and all that kind of stuff. And I'm sure looking back, there's a million things that you wish you would have done.
Yeah.
But that is crazy that there are people who are elders in the
Yeah.
churches or, know what they should do and should do in their heart. Uh, you
Exactly.
know, and are not doing that. That is, I mean, I'm not shocked at
Yeah.
all, but fucking A. I
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah. I
So,
mean, I think that's one thing I've learned is I I will call out like, yeah, I fucked up. I thought I was doing right. I thought I was doing the right thing. I think we've all as humans, like, yeah, we think we're doing right. And then you look back, you're like, oh, swing and a miss.
right.
And I regret what I did. And I wish I could fix it, but we're here. And
Yeah.
so all I can do moving forward is to educate, like, this is the slippery slope. This is how you think you're doing good. You think you're doing right. You think you got it all figured out. And really, you're just harming people. You're hurting
Mhm.
people. So yeah, it was wild. That was a unique, awful time.
Yeah, that's hard.
I just wanna say that it takes some big ovaries to admit that you messed up and
Yeah,
that,
Mhm.
you know and now that you're on the right path
yeah,
to, like, making it right, you know? Um,
That's more than most people can do,
a lot
especially
more than
yeah.
most
men.
in your
No
position. Yeah,
offense.
especially
I
yeah.
know you're a man, but what
Well, and I will say
Yeah.
that was my nickname in college was Big Ovaries. So John Big Ovaries tell you. So that's
Love
Oh, I
that.
love that.
We love that. Just like a side tangent, are you f I'm sure you're familiar with the story of the 42 bears or the 2
yeah,
bears that mauled the
yeah,
42 children.
yeah, absolutely.
"Get out of here, Baldy. Get out of
Second
here,
Second
Baldy."
Kings, I believe. It's in Second Kings.
It is. That's all. I just wanted
Okay.
to
I
We
We
just
mean,
we just wanted Noe to say, "Get out of here, Baldy."
we just
yeah,
had a episode, just us 3, and so we were just talking shit about the Bible in a way that was very ridiculous and not very professional, but we just could not get over
That
that
story.
passage. I'm like,
sorry,
yeah.
can I get John, can I get you to say, "Get out of here, Baldy," in, like, a high-pitched voice? Can you just
Get out of here, Baldy. That's what I envision happened. I mean,
"Thank
uh,
you," because I was doing a dramatic reading of it,
yeah,
and that's
no.
exactly what I thought.
These are prepubescent boys that don't, they're trying to talk shit, but they don't know how to. And so,
Right.
like, that's the best they could pull out.
And there's
So,
42
And
of
then
them.
and then they
yeah.
get mauled by bears just
And
for
then they're like,
doing that.
fuck. Like, that was a bad decision.
is that what you think the spiritual lesson is there? That you shouldn't be making fun of bald people? Like, what do you think the lesson was in that story?
I mean, yes. Do I think that God is super concerned about male pattern baldness compared to poverty? Yes. I think we'd all agree that is the true
Right,
case.
of course.
Um, so I think what's hard for me is like, I just think there's weird shit. Like, I don't think there's a lesson. Like,
Right.
I just think it was a bunch of like putting it together was just oral histories. And like, I imagine like some guy named Bob be like, hey, I bet I can get this story in the Bible. Like, hey, here's another story.
Right,
So
or
was
one
some
guy presented it and a bunch of
yeah,
men at the table were bald, and they're like, "Yeah, yeah, put that in.
yeah,
That's
fuck
very
yeah.
important."
They're
That's
like, "Yeah,
gospel
that's
truth.
gold. That's
Yeah,
gold. Put that in."
write down faster. Write it down faster.
And have them repeat it twice. Get
Ex-
out of here, Baldy. Get out of here, Baldy. Twice. Loop it back.
exactly.
It's like, "Hey, you know what? Run that back. I
Yeah.
like that."
Oh
Okay.
my gosh.
Yeah, it's you know what, we could have sat there for 10 hours and still not even scratch the
Right.
surface of the crazy stories. I
Yeah.
I brought 200 foreskins story to the table, so that
Which
was
is a reasonable price. I mean, I think we all know that, getting something for 200 foreskins is just a great price these
Right.
days.
especially,
For a
when
princess. I
yes,
mean, come on.
and
Yeah.
you were only supposed to get 100 and you're an overachiever, David.
Yeah.
Like, come
I
on now.
mean, but there's no homosexuality in the Bible at all with David and his
Mhm.
obsession with foreskins. I
Right.
mean, there's,
No.
yeah.
Very normal.
My favorite Bible verse is the commandment where God tells the Israelites that if two men are engaged in fighting and the wife walks up to one of the men and grabs his testicles, that you are supposed to cut off her hand.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I can guarantee you, if I get into a fight on the street, the last thing my wife is going to do is touch either of our testicles.
Right.
I
That's just
guarantee it.
not going to happen. So,
It's like it
Have a
happened one single time and they're like, put that in there.
it's like, "That was one time, guys, that was one time."
shut up, Tom. So,
What I'm thinking is I know that you have your TikTok series, "No, the Bible didn't say that," or "No,
yeah,
the Bible doesn't say that," but I think we could have a series that's, "The Bible did say this,
yeah,
though."
Right. Get out
totally.
of here, Baldy.
And I just wanted to know, like, how many foreskins would you have cut off for your wife, to get her?
Wow.
Oh.
I'm not gonna lie. I've been thinking about this way more often than you guys probably think I do. You know,
How many is she worth? Think of your answer long and hard here, buddy. No pun intended.
yeah, no pun intended. I mean, are we talking today's economy or what economy are we talking about?
Today in
Today.
today's dollars,
Oh gosh.
in
I
today's foreskin,
you know,
how many?
800. I'd give a good 800. I mean, that's
Wow.
Yeah.
it has to be attainable.
Right.
Can't be too ballsy. You got to really pick a number
Right.
that's
No, you definitely don't want the balls in there, just the
yeah.
foreskin.
No.
Yeah.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
Can I
Okay.
borrow something from you real quick? So anyway,
Right. Okay.
Amazing.
Because you said commandments, and that reminded me of the whole 10 commandments in school thing.
yeah,
And you, in your TikTok, I think you were replying to somebody who was saying, like,
yeah,
what's so bad about the 10 commandments? They teach really good things. And and you
yeah,
say, like, the teachers and parents should already be teaching children, like, the
exactly.
basic, like, don't harm people and don't steal
Yeah,
and don't do all that kind of stuff.
yeah,
But the 10 commandments, the PragerU shit, the
mhm,
Bible, Oklahoma, all that stuff that
yeah,
they're trying, for Project 2025, like to see if it'll work in one state so that
yeah,
they can start bringing it to other states.
yeah.
Do you think putting the 10 commandments in school is like gonna just start letting everything happen? Like do you have an opinion on that?
I think yes. I mean, I think it's that test of what can we allow right now and how can we normalize it. I think that's my worry is that we are normalizing something that should be absolutely not a question, no doubt. It's a no, and it's a no immediately.
Mhm.
And how the superintendent of Oklahoma has spoken about it, and to see that he's caught up in his own scandal about looking at porn during a meeting, like,
Right. Mhm.
I mean, I'm very concerned about how we're resetting what is normal. And again, that's why I'm an anti-theist educator, because we're resetting this idea that, oh yeah, like, great, the 10 commandments says not to steal. Well, great. It also says don't hump your neighbor's wife. And I don't
Right.
need, Sally in kindergarten, like, if you're unwilling to have a conversation about how a child can have two parents of the same gender identity, but yet you're unwilling to have that conversation, where's the line here? And so,
Right.
I mean, I think the political climate is changing so rapidly. And again, the norm is just swinging that I just think anyone should be worried about what this means and what this could mean for not only our kids, but someone else's kids.
Right.
So
And
it's just
when
wild.
you were in religion, would you have wanted that, or were you like church and state should be separated?
No, I that's the mind fuck about the Lutheran Church is there's some really progressive thoughts of separation church and state we don't talk about, so I thought I was fighting the good fight because even as a pastor, I'm like, why, like, shouldn't the church be educating these kids? Like, I want the church to be educating the church kids about what it means to be religious. Like, why do
Mhm.
I want a random person that doesn't share the same faith ideals? That just didn't make sense to me. And so even in where I served, I was very anti having the 10 commandments in the classroom. And again, it's those small things where you're like, oh, like I'm the good guy in this part. Like,
Right.
oh, I'm the normal person. But then it just makes you erase all that toxic shit.
Right. And I can guarantee you, people do not want atheists teaching their children about the Bible. Because if
Yeah.
you're going to force us to teach it, like,
Yeah.
get out of here, Baldy. Like, that's what I'm going to talk about. So,
I'm gonna point out the part where God gave the recipe for abortions with
Yeah.
a curse and a clay jar. Like
Yep.
that's what I'm gonna teach if you want me to teach your kids the
Right.
Bible.
Yep.
Right.
And I'm going to teach how the two creation stories completely go against each other. How after the flood, somehow one family repopulated the entire world. Like I'm going to say this is scientifically impossible. So,
Right.
yeah, I'm going to point out all these flaws.
Right.
So
go home and ask your parents.
Yep.
Go
Yeah.
ask your parents how old rocks are, and
Yeah.
then and then let me know about how old the Bible is and Methuselah and all of them. You know,
exactly.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
John, are you ready for a fun game?
Let's do it.
Okay.
Let's do it.
All right. It's called 7 Minutes in Heaven. We just have these really ridiculous questions. Since we talked about some heavy stuff, we just want to have some more laughs. And so we have these questions and we're just going to ask them and it'll be a great time and you'll answer them and we'll laugh and it'll be great. Okay.
Sounds good.
All right. Question number 1. Fuck, marry, kill. A televangelist with big hair, the rapture, and angels described in a biblically accurate way with the eyes and the wheels and the wings.
Oh gosh. You know, man. I'm gonna kill the rapture. You know, I grew up as an early 90s, late 80s baby, and the televangelist with big hair, I mean, that was like the J.C. Penney's catalog that came on Sunday that helped make me turn me from a boy to a man. So
Right.
let's fuck that. And
Okay.
yeah, I give me a loveless marriage with the angels that are
Have
oh
lots of eyes.
gosh. Lots of eyes. Oh my goodness.
Love that. Love that. What do you think happens when we die?
I don't know. And I'm totally cool with that.
Love that.
One of my favorite quotes, I think it was Mary Oliver. I might be wrong, but she said, "What an amazing adventure death will be." And so whatever it looks like, it's going to be an adventure. And, do I have hopes of an afterlife? Maybe. I mean, right now, probably not. But I'm guessing we're just going to return to what we were before this life. And that's the end of consciousness. So yeah, I have no idea. And I'm excited to find out.
Love it.
That's awesome.
Not too soon, though.
Yeah, not too soon.
Mhm.
give it some time.
You have a lot of work to be done.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah.
You're doing, I don't want to say the Lord's work.
You got a lot of Satan's work to do.
Yeah. I've never received such a great compliment. Let me tell you what. So
Love that. Who is the hottest deity? So like this could be from any religious belief system. This could be from mythology, anything, any pantheon, any of it.
So I took the question as the deity that I would want to get busy with.
Absolutely.
And like Venus, obviously Venus, awesome. But I want to go a little stranger. I want Thor's wife.
Okay. Okay. I'm into
So
it.
there could be some weird cuckolding thing in that involved. So I'm just saying, she's got the televangelist hair. I mean, I think things could get weird. And I'm all about it.
I love that.
Love it.
So I think her name is Sif.
Okay.
Yes,
So
I think you're right.
yeah, so
Okay.
that's, I mean, I don't know, could be, I don't know. I'm up for a little strange evening with Thor and his wife.
I'm in. This
That's
is
a great
great.
answer.
This might be my favorite answer so
I think
far.
so,
Right?
too.
Yes, for sure.
I didn't think cuckolding was gonna come up in our
No.
podcast at any point in time,
But
but
I'm
like
glad
I'm
that it
glad that it
has.
did. Yeah.
You're welcome.
No,
And
I
I
love
know
I mean,
there's a hammer joke in there somewhere, and I'm not gonna go there. But
You just kind of did though. No? Okay. What is your Jello salad? And so what we mean by this, is there any dish from your former church life or gatherings that you would want to have today or that you still enjoy or that you would still make?
all right, I'm gonna go full Minnesotan on y'all. Tater
God.
tot hot dish.
Yep.
I knew that's what was coming.
Tater tot hot dish. Now, It's an egg bake. If it's in the morning, it's called an egg bake. So
Mhm.
tater tots with eggs and cheese and sausage, egg bake. Anything that it has to have at least 3 bags of frozen peas. Just random stuff that's in your closet.
Right.
Put a layer of tater tots on it and bake in the oven until it's as thick as a brick, and you're good. So, yeah, tater tot hot dish would be what I want. I actually make my kids tater tot hot dish every once in a while.
Honestly, I love tater tot
I love tater
casserole.
tots. Yeah, sign
Yeah.
me up.
It's so good.
Mhm.
Can I come over? Just kidding.
Yeah. We're friends now. You all can come
We're
over.
friends now. That's
Yes.
true. That's true. That's
Get
true.
all the bags of tater tots.
Yeah.
Yes. If you were to start a cult today, what would the uniform be?
Oh, see, that's a tough one. The first thing in the uniform. So as a hospice chaplain, I wear fun socks every single day. Just kind of helps lifts my spirits. Like today I'm wearing a pair of socks that has my bulldog's face on it.
Oh,
And
cute.
so you have to have
course.
some sort of weird funky socks.
Right.
Probably also like a hooded sweatshirt with shorts.
Okay.
So
Comfort.
Yeah.
That's very Northwest dad vibes. Like, I get
Yes.
it.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
get it. I understand. I have a Pacific Northwest dad, so like I get it.
Yeah.
I understand. I'm tracking.
Yeah. So, and I think if I was to start a cult, like I would just use my bulldog as like the guru. Like
That's
he
what I
would
was
be
gonna
the
ask.
person.
It would be bulldog
Oh
related.
yeah, something
Yes.
like a lot of sleeping, a lot of naps and treats.
Perfect.
Going outside a little bit, but then coming back inside. So yeah,
Sign me up. Where
Yeah.
like when do we
yeah. We'll start
start?
this in the Northwest.
It's like Zoolander. Obey my dog.
Yeah, exactly. Teddy knows everything. So
Teddy knows all.
Aw, Teddy.
I love that. What's your favorite curse word?
oh, I don't know if this counts as a curse word, but Jesus Christ.
Mhm.
It counts. It
Yeah.
absolutely counts. If you're using
So
it in a curse word form,
yeah.
yeah.
Because the versatility. So if I like say it quietly underneath my breath around someone, that means I think you're fucking stupid.
Right.
If you hear like Jesus Christ, like that's like you're as dumb as a box of rocks.
Right.
But then like you can use the anger like, oh Jesus Christ, and like
Right. You stubbed your toe.
you stub your toe. Or why are you doing that? Like, so I think the versatility, and then it's just fun to reclaim something, like
Mhm.
I remember
100%.
like, let's all bow our heads to pray to the Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. So I think part of it's reclaiming, but yeah, the versatility. And the problem is that my wife has told me, like, you got to stop saying that because I say it all the time now.
Mm-mm,
Like
never.
having 2 teenagers, she's like, you cannot like, they can't go to their friend's house because we live in a part of Vancouver that has a lot of Mormons and they have a lot of Mormon friends. And they're like, we can't teach them that saying that is okay because they'll go to their Mormon's friend's house and just start dropping it. So
Right. Next
Right.
thing you know,
Yeah.
they'll be drinking tea and
yeah, caffeinated beverages.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
right,
No,
right.
it's
Straight to hell.
it's definitely it's a slippery slope when
Yeah.
you start
Oh,
dropping those JC bombs.
Yeah.
John, what is your guilty pleasure?
Oh.
And I know earlier you mentioned reality TV, so not
Yeah.
that, so something else.
So, gosh, Disney. My wife and I are Disney adults. We have another TikTok. We went on our honeymoon to Disney. I have a Disney tattoo that has all of our initials in the starburst, and has the
Oh,
castle and our favorite parks. So a huge Disney fan. I am also, so I did stand-up comedy for 10 years. I traveled the country doing
what?
stand-up.
Okay, you got to come
Um,
back for a second episode so we can
Yes.
discuss further.
Yeah. So it was really funny. Like I was like a pastor in the church and I like sneak off to comedy bars and like put on pretty raunchy sets.
Oh my god, I need
The
you're
2 people never
I need
met.
more.
Come back.
Yes.
So, performing stand-up comedy when I just, when you have a good set, when you have a good joke, and professional wrestling, I think is my last guilty pleasure. So I went on a wrestling cruise where they took the top deck of the boat and put a wrestling ring. And so every night they would have professional wrestlers and these guys are like walking around the boat and they're eating meals with us. We're getting autographs. And so I have a couple buddies that, yeah, we flew to Miami for a 5-day wrestling cruise. It's just pandemonium. So,
Do they still do those? My husband would die. Like, he would
so
literally die.
next November, yeah, the Chris Jericho cruise. I will send you information. Chris Jericho does a cruise next November. We're shipping out.
I love this.
It's called the Rock and Rager. And so my wife and I actually would put on WrestleMania parties every WrestleMania. So we have like 40 people to our house, which y'all are invited. Come on up to Camus. We'll have tater tot hot dish and
I
wedding
love this.
conversations.
Yeah.
So this year I think we had 40 people at our house and a former UFC fighter, and I mean it's just grown. Like it's just
Yeah.
this
Wow.
crazy day of food.
I'm
and
into it.
yeah, it's wild. And quick story about my wife if we have time. So I took her to NXT Portland, which is like the right below WWE. I get second row tickets. And so like we're right next to the ring. Like you can smell the body odor. Like
I was just
this
gonna
is
say you could
happening.
smell the sweat. I'm building the scene
Yeah.
in my mind and I can
It
smell the
is-
sweat. Bring it on.
So amazing. There's these 3 guys in front of us. We've been dating about a year and a half. I was about to propose. These 3 guys start chanting during a heavyweight match. Big beefy boys slapping beef. And I'm like, I'm getting dumped.
I've seen
Like-
that movie.
Yeah. I've seen that video on the hub and it's not appropriate. It's very biblical.
I missed
so-
that one in the Bible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I'm getting dumped. The next thing I know, my wife, girlfriend at the time, is standing with these 3 random men chanting big beefy boys slapping beef.
And that's when you knew she was the one.
Down on a knee that night. I was like, all right, we're locking this down.
Wow.
I'm sure it's a couple months later, but I mean, it was that moment. I'm like, all right, if she can handle
Right.
like this love of professional wrestling. My wife got an engagement belt. So when I proposed, there's an engagement ring and the Raw Women's Championship belt.
Oh my God.
Oh my God. That is
I
crazy.
love
That's
that. And I
amazing.
love
I
when
do too.
people are just like, I don't care what you think. I'm just going to love what I love because it's fun. And like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and I have a confession that I haven't told on the pod. I'm also a Disney adult.
I knew it. I knew it.
I keep that one close to my chest, but it's fun. You know what? It's fun. Leave us alone, okay?
Yeah.
We can spend our money how we want to.
Oh,
Right.
I went on a solo Disney trip and it was like 7 days and I was so Disneyed out on the last day. But I went to the park and I was like, I'm going to find little kids that are about to just blow up and I'm going to watch it happen. And so I sat on Main Street in a chair with a coffee and I'm like, you can scream louder than that, Tommy. Like, come on, let's get some VO2 max up in here. Like, you did not get your Mickey waffle. You're pissed. Let's hear it.
I
Not
know.
you
Oh
egging
my
them
God.
on.
That's kind of how
Absolutely.
I feel when I go
Yeah.
without the kids. I'm just like, oh, sucks to be you, other
Yeah.
parents.
Right. Yeah. We're like
Yeah.
walking into Toontown, like all the strollers, and we're like,
Fucking losers. Just speed walking
Yeah.
past them.
But see, I grew up in Orange County and, it was just like normal. We went to Disneyland all the time. I always had passes and it was like whatever. Now that I live like 5.5 hours away, I kind of get the whole like how it's like a
Right.
thing. It's you have to, because we would just go for dinner and like a ride and then we'd leave because
Oh.
we
You're
had
such
passes.
a
but
bragger.
I
Yeah.
am
I
such a
didn't grow
bragger.
up with religion. I just went to Disney every day. Ugh. We can't all be so fortunate.
But I
Sorry, not
appreciate
all
it
of us.
now.
Not all of us are Christina.
Right.
Ugh.
Nope.
Some of us were indoctrinated at birth. Ugh.
Where was I going with that? I don't
Nowhere.
remember,
There's no.
but
We're
I
off
was
the
just
rails now.
bragging.
It's done.
I'm just
It's okay.
bragging.
Okay, so then Noe made her confession about being a Disney adult. My confession of the day is that I took a Benadryl because I'm at my sister-in-law's house and she's got a cat and like I'm gone, guys. I'm out. I gotta.
Okay. You gotta go lay
Okay.
down.
All right. Well, you did great. I couldn't tell.
Oh, thank you, John. It's been a pleasure.
Has been
Yeah.
a pleasure.
I just, you are welcome on the podcast anytime, and you're welcome to my home in the Bay Area anytime, whenever, if
That
you're
would
ever down
be
in San Francisco, come on down. Come on
that would
over.
be great.
Yeah.
For
Yeah.
Hell
That'd be
yeah.
awesome.
Yes,
Absolutely.
and we need to meet your wife, and
Yes.
Yes.
I
Bring
have
her on the
tater
pod.
tots in my freezer right now, so I think I might actually make, like, a tater tot casserole of some sort.
It's
So
so good. It is so good.
You've
Well, thank you
inspired
all.
us.
Yeah. Okay. I'm out.
all right, bye.
Hmm.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you, John.
Thank you for listening to Girls Gone Godless. If you liked this episode, leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you're listening to this episode. It helps heathens like you find bitches like us. If you would like to be a guest on the show, click the link in the notes to submit your story. And don't worry, if you want to be anonymous, we have an option for you. See you next week.